Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon and welcome to my guest. Take a seat for me. My name is Eleni Jarkas. I'm delighted to be with you today on what is a very important topic. We'll be talking about the role of governments in securing minerals and minerals supply. So I'd like to welcome His Excellency Bandar bin Ibrahim Al Khoyayef, Minister of Industry and Mineral Resources, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Great to have you with us. Her Excellency Leila bin Ali, Minister of Energy, Transition and Sustainable Development, Morocco. We've got His Excellency Thiam Tijani, Minister of Mines and Industry, Mauritania. Her Excellency Aurora Williams Boassa, Minister of Mining, Chile. And His Excellency Ali Pervez Malik, Federal Minister for Petroleum, Pakistan. Welcome to you. And Claude Gay, Parliamentary Secretary, Minister of Energy and Natural Resources for Canada. So we've got a fantastic team with us today and really diverse as we try and navigate this very complex topic. We know that there's a sense of urgency that is spread globally about securing minerals and critical minerals. It is akin to national security. I think for far too long, countries have been okay with outsourcing a lot of the processing and sort of maybe turning a blind eye, or some have said we're sleeping at the wheel as we've seen other countries dominate this sector, but now things are changing. And we need to see an important rebalancing of specifically processing and countries that are extracting as well. So, Minister, I want to start off with you. It's really great to be here and important conversations that are being had. Saudi Arabia has incredible ambitions. You want to be a hub for mineral resources. You want to be a hub of processing. And I wonder, as you're crunching the numbers, whether you believe, and I guess how are you going to do this, because you're going to have to, ensure that you are economically viable relative to already mature supply chains that exist. And is that your biggest problem?
Well, thank you. And first of all, I would like to, again, welcome everybody here. This is a great pleasure to welcome so many people from around the world. We are very honored here in Saudi to have this platform become what it is today, delivering really results, not only for Saudi Arabia, but for the global community. And I must say this have only happened because of the commitment and the true belief of everybody around of the cause that we are behind. And I wish them all the success and would like also to ensure that Saudi Arabia is committed not only to having this gathering, but also to continuous improvement of the results and the impact it makes. Back to your question, I think what we need to understand is that the global need of minerals is definitely increasing. It's increasing for obvious reasons, but the one is, of course, important element in the transition, which is creating the need for more critical minerals and technology. Today, AI and data centers cannot be enabled without the minerals. So that said, the demand, as I think our colleague from Valley was talking about, is already there. It's a sector where the demand is clear and the growing demand is clear. The question is, how can we create the future minerals demand or secure the demand by also not doing the same mistakes that we have done in the past, where countries have just lost their resources without benefiting. And it's easier said than done. It's a very hard balance. And I really cautious everyone also to be mindful of the part that you have mentioned. Are we competitive? Because having this as a wish or as a requirement is not enough. Countries need to also ensure that they have the right combination and competitiveness. Here in Saudi, we are very confident because we actually can show that the competitiveness is there, because of three very important ingredients that come together and very, very hard to find elsewhere. One is the resource, which the government is spending a lot of money and programs to ensure that clarity about the resources is there and the way to extract them is there. And the second is energy. Saudi Arabia has a very competitive energy position where we can use this in the further processing. Any processing of any raw material in minerals will require a lot of energy. And third is our location as a country. We all know, I think the minister from Congo made it clear that 30% of the cost of minerals is in transportation and logistics. So these three things are very important to have in mind. Now, having this also combination, we will still need know-how. That's why we are seeking for the right partnerships who will come here, who will have the same mindset, who will share the same values with us. We are very mindful of the impact of mining on the different regions. I think our finance minister made it very clear that the impact on the regions are very important. So this is from an economical point of view. I think from the social side, Saudi Arabia is blessed with a very good history about utilizing natural resources. People in the past in this country have enjoyed the value and saw the value of oil when it came out and how it elevated their quality of life and changed their life to a much better life. And they see this also happening with minerals. So we have a good history of ability to turning our natural resources into economic and social impact.
Okay, let me ask you this very quickly, because one of the reasons that it's hard to compete with a powerhouse like China that controls, up to, in some cases, 90% of processing of critical minerals is that it's subsidized. Are you willing to take that route?
Well, we need to see the value chain. I mean, subsidies, no country can afford to subsidize everything forever.
Yeah.
So if you look at any value chain in any of the metals, you will definitely have to, at some point in time, push and subsidize certain parts of the supply chain. I will give you an example. Today in Saudi Arabia, for example, we have been able to succeed in a couple of supply chains where from the material to the being a global player, one is our phosphate and the ability to turn our phosphate into fertilizers, where today Saudi Arabia is the fourth largest player in fertilizers. This cannot happen purely without some kind of intervention from the government. Yeah. What the government have done in investing in the railway from Ras Al Khair to the north is an important enabler for the sector to thrive and to compete and to reduce the amount of phosphate and process to be going to the international market for fertilizers. The other product is aluminium, where again, we were able to turn our bauxite reserves into high quality, high-end products going to things like automotive or machinery equipment or packaging. And now actually we are in discussion with most of the OEMs in aerospace to include or approve our quality of aluminium. But at a certain point in time, you will have to, as a government, to support that, but you cannot do it forever. Yeah. So I'm sure that any country today will face difficulty in extending unrealistic, I would say, initiatives that have direct subsidies to any industry, and this is including China also.
Right, fantastic. A lot to get through. Minister Gay, I want to come to you. Canada is super interesting. I mean, you're so experienced in this. If anyone wants to learn lessons, we just have to ask you in terms of what went right and what went wrong. You've got Prime Minister Mark Carney currently in China, engaging in conversation, what is critical at a time of immense confrontation between the two world powers when it comes to tariffs and the leverage that China has on critical minerals. And I wonder how you're looking at the sort of intersection between geopolitics and the securing of mineral resources and the importance that Canada is going to play at a time of turbulence.
Well, thanks. That's a great question. This is where actually we feel the same way. Yesterday, we signed a memorandum of understanding with Saudi Arabia, and it's because we share the same view of the future of a multilateral world. And Canada intends to play a role, an important role, in fostering this multilateral lateral world that we see in the future. And we are going to do everything we can in our power to encourage that, and there's work with our allies around the world to create such an environment.
So multilateralism, in your mind, in Canada's mind, is not dead. It still exists.
Steadfast.
It's steadfast. And I wonder if we're starting to see alliances that are building within the mineral space. And while we see a degradation of multilateralism and perhaps the global world order, do you believe that perhaps alliances are going to be built in this sector per se?
Yes, and what we're doing is we're looking at each one. Canada's blessed with many of the critical minerals that the world needs. And we're going to do alliances. We're looking at the supply chain of each one of those and determining how much we need for our own needs, how much the world needs, and how much of the processing should be done in our country or in some of our allied country. How do we create the technology at the right place to have a resilient supply chain that is not going to be affected by, or least affected by, geopolitical environment?
Okay, Minister Malik, great to have you with us. Pakistan, I was looking, I think you've got 90 minerals, almost the entire periodic table, minus the synthetic elements. You're only mining about 52 of those minerals right now. You've got immense prospects, but you need money, right? You need investment. And I wonder if you're starting to see that money coming through, and what role is the regulatory environment playing right now in you luring in that funding?
Thank you, Eleni. Let me first of all start by thanking His Excellency Al Khuraif for holding a very successful event. I think this forum could not be held at a more opportune time because despite the sluggish growth that we see globally, the demand for elements and minerals is peaking as we transition to greener technologies, and the traditional supplies are on the wane. So these forums provide an opportunity for concerted efforts to develop those new supplies which are crucial to sustaining global growth. Otherwise, this might just become the limiting factor to global growth. So where does Pakistan fit in and the resource potential that we have? I'll come to that. I think the role of the government in case of Pakistan is very simple, that we have to reduce friction within the system, which is where simplification of the processes and the regulatory environment comes in, reducing the ambiguity in the processes, because these are all multi-year commitments to unleash the potential that you're talking about. And the third element of our policy direction is to reduce uncertainty, because already we are challenged on that front at multiple levels. So Pakistan, you're absolutely correct, hosts around 2,000 to 2,500 kilometers of the highly prospective Tethyan belt. So in order to harness the potential that the belt has to offer the world, we require capital, and we think all these interventions that we have designed, whether it be the harmonization of the regulatory environment, because in Pakistan, minerals is a provincial subject, and at the federal government level, we want to simplify the process for the investors because we don't want them going through multiple legislations, multiple sets of rules to understand how to invest in the sector. And we've also benchmarked the entire regime using experienced
But hold on,
consultants.
in a time where I guess there's a scramble for minerals, you know, and resources. Let's just call it what it is. There's a scramble. I mean, I'm sure people must be knocking at your door right now going, how do we help you? Because they want to secure minerals for the future, surely.
Eleni, as far as the prospectivity is concerned, I think that is pretty much established, and we are welcoming all investors to come and help us formalize
Who's
this
knocking
sector,
at your
because
door?
I think the potential is such that there is enough space for us to come and join us, and hence we continue to engage at forums such as the FMF, and we will also be hosting a similar event in Pakistan in April, which is the Pakistan Mineral Investment Forum. And we continue to remain engaged with all our international friends to harness this potential, because I think the world really needs that demand.
Okay, who's knocking at your door?
So we remain engaged with everyone.
Okay.
I think Excellency Al Khuraif has been a regular partner for Pakistan. He's been a source of great strength for Pakistan. Saudi Arabia is there. And there are many other countries who are already working in Pakistan, who are helping us map the resource potential, who are collaborating as far as the geological studies are concerned. And we want to take this as an energy diplomacy initiative where the materials that the world requires, Pakistan is able to provide in an apolitical manner.
Okay, fantastic. Minister Williams, I want to come to you, and it's so good to have you with us, and welcome to the world's largest producer of copper. Apparently, copper is like striking gold right now. So S&P had a really fantastic report showing, I think copper is going to $13,000 a ton. You're also mining lithium. You have very strong partners with the United States, which is important. Take me through where you see investment in further expanding your value chain in Chile, because you also export a lot of your copper to China right now because you don't have enough processing capacity locally. Do you want to process more? Is it something that Chile wants? Do you see as a vulnerability that you're exporting a lot of your copper to China still today?
Bueno, muchas gracias. Agradezco esta invitación a su excelencia y quisiera indicar que efectivamente Chile es el primer productor de cobre del mundo. Producimos el...
I'd like to mention that, yes, Chile is the first country in the production of copper, and we also have 15% of the production of lithium, and also we are a country that has minerals, and we have more than 50 years of production for these minerals, and this history in the field of the sector gives us the ability, the institutional ability and power that gives us the clarity for the role of each party. For example, the government had the role of facilitating the process of trade and commerce, and we hence have concluded many agreements, trade agreements with more than 88 countries around the world. And we also are responsible for facilitating the process of investing in our countries. So usually what is important for us is the companies and the government or the country needs to facilitate the process of granting the right means for these companies to be able to participate through agreements. And as I said before, China is a country that is a big competitive, but I can say that 50% of the production of copper is from Chile, and one of the biggest countries that need that is China. So in our government, we have the commitment to be able and capable of performing all the necessary actions in order to produce this kind of power or energy that is needed by the world. So it's not only for us that China is important, but also we developed a strategy for developing this production. One of these strategies is implemented, and another one is being developed in order to develop more and to take a further step forward in this field. So we need to facilitate these channels to be able to reach and access their locations in the right time.
Minister Tijani, great to have you with us. Mauritania, also super resource rich. We were talking backstage, and we were talking about your region. So West Africa, you've got a lot of various geopolitical issues that are constantly playing out, and in fact, it impacts the mining sector, where you see mining licenses being revoked and so forth. Mauritania is very different in the sense that you're very politically stable. Perceptions of risk, however, still follow you around, sort of like a dark shadow. And I wonder how you can shake that off, knowing what you can offer the world from a mineral perspective, but also investors are sitting in this room that can have sort of a very good experience with you. How are you planning to change that narrative?
Okay, merci. Thank you, Madam Moderator. First of all, I would like to thank my brother, His Excellency Mr. Bandar. في البداية أود أن أشكركم على الدعوة.
At the beginning, I would like to thank you for the kind invitation and for your hospitality, and I also congratulate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for this great organization of this conference that could be deemed diverse and very unique. And we are very proud as an Arab country of what is done by another Arab country. So it's really of hardship to gather all these minds, all these countries, all these experts, plethora of pioneers. So when we speak about the energy transformation, we must talk about other elements. We must talk about digitalization, and also how can we lower or mitigate the carbon imprint. We must talk about our strategic vision. So moving on with respect to our economical aspirations, I believe that there are many restrictions that we need to overcome, many obstacles that needed to be overcome. So therefore, we need to design strategic plans for the future. We must focus on supply chain that is designated only for certain geographical regions in Mauritania. Other regions in Mauritania had great potential, great mines, and also great mines as well. But we can only have access to certain regions. So I can comfortably say that we have a vast country, more than 1 million square kilometers. We have the public companies that has been exploring since 1960. We do have critical minerals that can be deemed competitive on the level of the African continent, and so the mining companies have prospected in Mauritania for the past decades in certain geographical areas, and also are affected by a good political strategy. We have a democratic system and very strong institutions.
Right, in terms of investment. Yep. Even though I think mining accounts for 25% of GDP in Mauritania. I mean, this is enormous. So how are you going to leverage on your resources to attract investment? What's the plan?
Yes, Par exemple, comme je disais, pour attirer des investissements, il y a pour la stabilité politique, la stabilité sécuritaire, et surtout le respect des engagements.
Stability is of great importance. Political stability is of great importance. Of course, I just gave an example of our strategic vision. We do have a stable legislative framework, and also by granting that facilitate the process of licensing and can be easily accessed by the investors. Many facilitation processes to easily acquire such licenses, and we focused on manganese and cobalt. So I would comfortably say that in Mauritania we have our financial partners working closely with us that played a great role in impacting our job market. We're working according to a strategic plan set and designed by the state. Last year, I visited Morocco with Her Excellency, the Minister, and we asked her what can we do in Africa to greatly benefit and to increase our benefits to the benevolence of both our states.
Minister Benali, great to see you at a time where I think, you know, it's very obvious that the African continent is not only mineral resource rich, but I think African governments in a very big way, whether it's north, south, east, west, are really looking at the regulatory environments in a very important way. But I want to take that story further and say it's not just about mining licenses and the access to critical minerals. It's about African countries having the agency to be able to decide, are we sending out raw materials? Are we going to capture some of the value chain and start processing? I mean, it's quite interesting in terms of what you produce. And my question is, do you want to be a producer of EV batteries as opposed to just exporting, you know, lithium and cobalt? What's the plan? And what's your message to the world where even the US wants to capture some of the processing? Everybody wants to be a processor now.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question, because I think, and I would like to thank His Excellency Badr Al-Khrayef for this forum, because I really congratulate him because he turned a teenager into an adult forum where we can actually have these adult conversations about what sort of industry do we want in the mining sector. And I'm very happy to be with you this year because these are fascinating times that reminded me of some of the issues that we were facing in the energy sector around 2011, 2012, after Fukushima, when China started to subsidize the solar PV value chain, and the world, Europe, was waking up to the fact that the whole clean tech value chain was going to be disrupted. And I've seen multiple companies going bankrupt because of that. So today, I think it's very interesting to be together in FMF and to be able to have this adult conversation and move beyond the traditional discussion around, do we want to be exporters of raw material, or do we want to process, or what do we want to do exactly? And I think from our perspective, and I'm very happy that my colleague, Minister of Mauritania, has mentioned his venue in Marrakesh, because we launched something called the Marrakesh Declaration, and it's an ESG framework. And why we did that is to answer your question to the Pakistan Energy Minister. You asked him, who is knocking on your door? I think today the main question that all of us have to answer is, who do we want to open the door to?
And where are you going to get the best deal, where it suits you, right? Because the deals have been skewed for far too long, let's be honest, specifically when it comes to African countries.
So we never had good deals, indeed.
Yeah.
If you mentioned the example of copper value in international markets. I can give you the example of zinc, of all the metals and minerals that we trade, critical or not critical. And if you compare the actual value at export declared compared to the traded value in LME or any international exchange, you can see that there's a huge discrepancy regardless of the country you're looking at. And we haven't even started the conversation about processing. So that's why the role of, there are 5 global corridors in the world, Morocco being one of them. And I think, if my memory serves me right, Chile is another corridor in Latin America. So I think those 5 corridors has a major responsibility to act on 2 things. Traceability, not just for the sake of having traceability, just for the sake of it, but also to have additional value being brought back to not only to the local populations, but to the industry as a whole. And the second key issue is ESG frameworks. Again, not just for the sake to have another fancy framework, but because those ESG frameworks have been drafted in Geneva, in New York, in all those capitals where my friend from Pakistan was able to attract great multilateral financial deals, but that is not enough. Today, for us to be able to have low-cost, low-carbon, sustainable molecules, electrons, and I'm putting energy and mining in the same basket now, because to win those digital and for you to be able to go on social media and all that, we need to multiply the production of lithium, cobalt, 300%, 400%. You all know that. So today, we cannot do that if we have proper ESG frameworks that are, in the case of Africa, written by like-minded ministers
So let me ask
like
you
Mauritania.
this. I mean, you know, when I heard the soundbite from President Trump, we said, you know, we're in the era of drill, baby, drill. He's pulled out of the UNFCCC. He's pulled out of the Paris Agreement. I was like, oh, gosh. You know, are we going to see environmental rules being thrown out the window? And particularly when it pertains to mining, I grew up in a coal mining town. I know how dirty it is, but also the social economic impact it is. And you as ministers now, and I guess many people of miners in the room that are in this industry, you know, how do we strike that balance? Because whether we like it or not, the world is heating up, whether we like it or not. And we do have a responsibility. So what are those rules going to be as we see the rules unraveled? Minister, do you care about sort of the framework right now? Are you writing up your own rules and saying this is the standard we're going to have, and we're not going to move past this line?
Of course, we do care, and this is, I think, the fact that we have this kind of events here, it shows how much actually we care. We are very much keen on having standardization. It's key to any industry, and during the Ministerial Roundtable yesterday, we talked about it. I don't think that any action that is being taken by any country, including the US, will go outside of certain parameters, especially when it comes to standardization, how we do things right, especially in terms of how we deal with the environment and the environment requirements, how we also are in desperate need of traceability to ensure that the practices in mining are also being done in the right way. These are, I think, basics and essential. Now, when it comes to how we use energy, for example, because energy is a key component of enabling the sector. When it comes how to use water, we were discussing with the minister from Chile about their experience also as a country with a unique geographic also position, and how they were able to improve the utilization of seawater. I think we are in more need of standardization. We are in more need of frameworks, which we announced yesterday also in the future in the roundtable, and not less.
Fantastic. Okay, we've run out of time, but I'm going to, because I know they cut us a little bit because we're running over. I've got another question which I think is important, and it's going to be quick. My question is, and I'm going to start with you, Minister Gay. I come knocking on your door. How long will it take me to get a mining license? That is for all of you, so you can think about it. How long will it take? It usually takes what, like
5 to 7 years in the past.
Yeah, now?
Now 2.
2 years?
Yes.
Okay, so because you're circumventing issues, or?
And because we're simplifying the process, the territories, federal government, multiple departments within the federal government, one answer from the federal governments across all the departments, and one review in between the territories and the federal government.
Okay, Malik, very quickly, how long?
So, as I explained in the earlier comment, that we've simplified the processes
How long will it
and
take?
we've halved. So it'll also take roughly around 2 years. But the point that I wanted to make was, Eleni, rather than viewing this entire thing from the lens of the geopolitics, I think the cause which Saudi Arabia is pushing and Pakistan is wholeheartedly supporting is the provision of seamless source of supplies of critical minerals to power the world. I think that is the cause
Very
that we will
quickly,
support.
give me a number, Minister Williams. Number.
La respuesta es depende, porque en Chile hay operaciones de muy baja escala que no requieren permiso.
It depends. That's my simple answer. It depends on a number of factors. Because there are some major companies that do not require these types of licenses, and other smaller companies that requires other types of licensing. So we can say from a number of days to tens of years. It can vary. But I want to talk about the great effort that's exerted by all of us to secure a proper environment or ecosystem to achieve that goal.
Les licences en Mauritanie, comme je disais, on est très transparent, on est très preneur. Aujourd'hui, par exemple, je lance une invitation solennelle à l'ensemble des investisseurs. Nous avons des zones à fort potentiel qu'on met à la disposition des partenaires sérieux qui ont des capacités techniques et financières et qui souhaitent vraiment développer notre ressource. Tout est très transparent. Tout est...
We are open. Nous sommes heureux de vous dire que nous sommes prêts.
My team is panicking. By law, 30 days in Morocco if you sign up to the ESG framework, because I'm also Minister of Environment.
Okay. Oh, yes, of course. Minister Al-Kharif, how long?
From 30 to 90 days.
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for my brilliant panel. Merci. Thank you so much. Shukran.